Once upon a time, there was a Mr. Gold and a Mr. Money. And from their names, you can tell they really liked gold and money. So they were kind of stingy people. Just a quick note about how Chinese people used to dress hundreds of years ago. They used to wear usually long robes made of comfortable cloth, and oftentimes they would have head coverings, probably to protect them from the sun, the wind, the rain. Sometimes the head coverings indicated what their jobs were or how important they were. So one day Mr. Gold and Mr. Money met up at the marketplace. Hello. And Mr. Gold said, "Hey, it's been a really long time." Mr. Money said, "Yeah, it has been a really long time. I haven't seen you in a while."
The egg.
And Mr. Gold said, "Well, why don't we meet up more often?" Remember I said Mr. Gold and Mr. Money were very stingy people? They didn't want to spend a lot of money buying each other lunch outside at a restaurant. And so Mr. Gold suggested that he would invite Mr. Money over for lunch at his house. And Mr. Money said that he would invite Mr. Gold over after that.
Who's Mr. Money?
This one is Mr. Money. This is Mr. Gold. Yeah. "So how about Friday, tomorrow?" asked Mr. Gold. "Oh, tomorrow? Well, that's too soon. I need time to get over to your house," said Mr. Money. "How about Saturday?" And Mr. Gold said, "Sure, you can come on Saturday." And so Mr. Money went home and Mr. Gold went home. And so it was Saturday. And so Mr. Money walked and walked and walked, and finally he made it to Mr. Gold's house. And the door opened. "Hello," said Mr. Gold. "Please come in." And so they came in and they sat at the table. And a dish was brought out. This was their lunch. Wow, what a big dish. Mr. Money thought, "Wow, I'm going to have a feast. This is such a great idea. I'm so glad I get free lunch." And he was starting to think, what am I going to be treated to? And Mr. Gold said, "Well, I've got something very special for you. It's got to do with bamboo. This dish has bamboo in it."
Why, Mommy? Why?
"This bamboo is very delicious." And Mr. Money thought, "Oh, bamboo? Well, I am thinking about pork slices with bamboo shoots. Wow, this is going to be great." But when the dish cover was open, ta-da! What was that? It was a big pile of bamboo shavings made from chopsticks. Did you know that chopsticks are sometimes made from bamboo? It's a bunch of shavings. He could barely see the meat inside. Well, this was not really edible. And so Mr. Gold started to laugh. Well, guess what? He had planned this all along. He said, "Oh, Mr. Money, you remember I said, why don't you come on Friday, but you said you wanted to come on Saturday. And because you've come too late, the bamboo shoots had grown up into the bamboo tree, and then the bamboo tree was made into chopsticks.
Chopstick?
And then the chopsticks had gotten old and we needed to recycle them into bamboo chopstick shavings."
Look, why the arrows?
That's right, because they go from bamboo shoots to bamboo forest to chopsticks and then to recycled shavings. "You've come too late. You should have come earlier, Mr. Money." And of course, Mr. Money was not happy. So he was just sitting there brooding for the rest of the lunch. And he went home pretty quickly. Well, before he left though, he checked in with Mr. Gold. "Hey, Mr. Gold, it's gonna be my turn to invite you over to lunch. What do you say? How about if you come to my house next month?" "Next month?" said Mr. Gold. "That's way too late." And he was thinking, I better get my free lunch sooner. And he said, "How about next Saturday?" Mr. Money thought, "Okay, sure, next Saturday. Bye-bye, see you." And he went. Now, next Saturday came, and Mr. Gold took the long trek over to Mr. Money's house. Mr. Money opened the door. Hello, Mr. Gold. It's so nice to see you. And so he sat him down at the table and brought out a huge dish, just like Mr. Gold had done for him the week before. And Mr. Gold thought, wow, this is going to be an awesome lunch. And Mr. Money said, yeah, to say thank you for treating me to such a nice lunch, I have cooked a wonderful chicken dish for you. Chicken! Mr. Gold loved chicken. He was thinking this. This is chicken boiled in soup with lots of wonderful vegetables. And just a note, if you're wondering why is it that you see a whole chicken in the picture, that's because in Chinese culture, Chinese people cook with all the bones in for more flavor. Okay, so he was thinking this. But when the lid was opened up, guess what? There was a single egg in the dish. An egg, said Mr. Gold. You invited me all the way here to eat a single boiled egg? And Mr. Money laughed. He said, yeah! And he cut the egg into half. Half for you and half for me. An egg? Said Mr. Gold. He could not believe his eyes. And Mr. Money said, yeah, that's because you have come way too early. Remember when I said, please come next month? But then you said, no, I would like to come next week. Well, look, my egg has not yet hatched into a little chick. And the little chick has not yet turned into a full-grown chicken. And so I can't cook you a chicken dish.
No.
I only have the egg. Ha 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 ha. And Mr. Money laughed at how smart he was in tricking his friend with a very cheap lunch. At first, Mr. Money was just laughing and laughing at how he had tricked his friend, Mr. Gold. But then the two of them soon realized that both of them being stingy got them nowhere. Neither one had a good meal, and both of them had tricked their friends. And so at the end of the meal, they both said sorry to each other. Sorry. Well, said Mr. Money, I'd like to make it up to you. Please accept my invitation to come to my house again next week, and I will cook a big feast for you. Wow, thank you so much, said Mr. Gold, and I'll do the same for you the following week. All right, thank you. And so the two of them became good friends.